Okay. Everyone see the screen that says Happy New Year 2021?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Awesome. Tonight, let's just take a second and talk about a few things. First, let's go back to the policy manual relating to what our committee is and our purpose. And let's look at that and draw out some main thoughts or main words. Then let's look at our policy manual as relates to the MD34 Leadership Conference, because when I looked at it, I realized what we had been saying it said and what it said did not align. And so we need to bring ourselves in alignment with what the policy manual says. Develop a plan of action to propose a program for the leadership conference. And you'll see that we're part of the team that does that. But if this group doesn't take the lead, I'm afraid it won't get done. And now's the time we need to be putting that program together so we can have an effective program come August. And then receive any comments that y'all have concerning the master training plan for vice district governors that has been circulated several times now, and discuss training needs of club officers and zone chairs and how that we feel that we could best accomplish that. And if we get that done tonight, it'll be a successful meeting, don't you think?
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
This is the policy manual dealing with the multiple district global leadership team. And as we go through, I'm going to just take it paragraph by paragraph, and let's pull out some of the words that you think are most important. It says the GLT structure, which encompasses representation at the multiple district and district levels and includes district governor teams. And that's the problem. We don't ever have district governor teams that know they're part of our team, I don't think. Provides a comprehensive global platform for developing more qualified leaders from the club level up while encouraging development approaches to address local needs. What are some key words or key phrases that you see in there that we need to really hone in on as we continue to develop training material?
It may be obvious to us, but maybe define that district governor team. Put in parentheses who that entails.
Okay.
I mean, is it the district governor team? I mean, in my mind, the team is GLT, GMT, GST, district governor, and the two vices. I mean, is that? Do we define it? Do we define district governor team? What is the definition?
And the zone chairs and region chairs also.
Yeah, that's a lots of people.
Yeah.
It is, and it may be that our district teams are larger than our multiple district team, meaning that each of you may have a team that encompasses zone chairs and region chairs, and at the multiple district level, we may have a team that encompasses just the global action team, GST, GLT, GMT, council chair, and district governor and vice district governors. Well, once again, if we're not careful, it gets so big we get nothing done. And so, since there is a GMT that has a similar definition and a GST that has a similar definition, I would think that when I read district governor teams, I just think district governor and vice district governors. But I can see where it can be expanded further out than that. But what makes a good working group for this group as we develop leadership training material?
I just think the district governor and the vice district governors.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And the other can take their directives from them.
Or the district governor brings to the table the GMT, GST, any considerations that we might have as a GLT with those two other teams. I would agree that just the vice district governors and the district governor.
Okay. Now, let me ask this question. Are the three of you holding similar calls on a district level to discuss training needs within your individual districts or the implementation of the multiple district training plan.
Mm. You talking about?
I'm staying in contact with the district governor. And we haven't discussed specifics because he said he's on track for everything he's supposed to be doing. So
I think for me, at the beginning of the year, focus area 4 for the district governor's vision for this year. Probably we're not doing everything we said we would do, one of which is to communicate with the zone chairs. We have had guiding lion training. Notice went out from the district governor. And we do have our regularly annual scheduled club officer training, which will happen in the May-June timeframe. Actually, June 5th is our date. But as far as gathering the zone chairs and saying, hey, anything special you think we need training on this month or next month? No, I think we have it. We've talked about it, but we have not actually done it.
Okay.
And I have not had that discussion with our DG team, nor I guess the zone chair.
Okay.
Zone chairs.
And so the other thing that just struck me in this paragraph was a comprehensive global platform for developing leaders from the club up. And, you know, we started from scratch when we started about a year ago. And we have built that platform for vice district governor training, but we're going to have to reach out again and do that for region chairs and zone chairs, and eventually for club officers. But we've made a lot of progress this year, but that jumps out to get me. And
to get you in a good way, Jerome, the word comprehensive global platform, I get what that means, but it could be like, wow, that sounds pretty big. Do we need those words there, or just provides a plan for developing qualified leaders? Because we get the platform and the global platform from LCI. There's great stuff on that platform, but at our level, do we think maybe we should power down the words a little there and just say we're going to have a plan? This group puts a plan together.
Because it could frighten some using those words.
It what?
I said using those words could frighten someone to think, comprehend. They think, oh, that's going to take a long time, or that's going to be.
I would say that, Claudia, to your question, yes, we could simplify this some, but this is just what we were handed. But what I'd like to do, now that you've said that, is let's go in there and simplify it, and maybe at the May board meeting suggest to them that they adopt a new phraseology that says the same thing, but in a more understandable way.
I like the word comprehensive because that's what we've been working on, is to try and get everybody to talk, crosstalk. And so probably comprehensive plan for developing more quality. We don't want to be stovepiped, just GLTs talking to GLTs. It has to reach sideways too. I like the word comprehensive. Global platform sounds like, wow, how hard a work do we have to work if we're on this committee or on this team?
Right. And so that's the first paragraph. The next paragraph says the GLT allows for a concentrated emphasis on functional, operational training and education of leaders, coupled with motivational development, identification, effective recruiting of qualified leaders. I'm not sure what that said.
It sounds like blah, 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 blah. That's a lot of words. Do we really, as a GLT, or is it our role to recruit qualified leaders? That's usually the district governor, vice district governors.
It depends on how you use the word recruit. I like the word identify qualified leaders rather than recruit, because if we can identify some leaders, we can provide them some tools to equip them to be effective, then the district governor teams can recruit them to particular tasks that need to be done within the district. I like the word identify qualified leaders.
But our role is also to educate and train so that we have a pool of qualified leaders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be nice if we had clubs full of qualified leaders and we just identify them, but a lot of folks are just diamonds in the rough. And I would think that the leadership team, we're going to help them get from being a diamond in the rough to be polished with all the resources that we can provide. That's a lot of words in one sentence there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I think what it means is that we're going to provide a plan to equip and empower effective leadership, but I don't know exactly how to boil that down. But whoever wrote this sure did like to fluff a lot. And
how much can we jam in one sentence? Yeah.
But I do think that the word that we should look at is functional and operational and education. We need to equip them, but we need to equip them with skills that are going to be practical for the job that we're expecting them to do, not trying to just to pump them full of a lot of stuff, but boil it down and give them the tools that they need to be the club president, and then give them the tools they need to be the zone chair or whatever. I think that's what that's saying.
But you know, with the first beginning, the GLT allows for a concentrated emphasis. The GLT provides resources. Isn't that really what we do? Provides resources and functional, well, resources for training and education of leaders. Additionally, in motivational development. Yeah, that just needs to be something that again doesn't overwhelm somebody. Because if we're not comfortable with it, whoever's coming up behind us is going to go, "What on earth is all that?"
Be honest with me for just a second. Have any of the three of you read this before?
No.
I'm pretty sure I have, and I hate that I didn't have it ready. But I rushed to the meeting this evening. But I have. I think when this is what's part of what's sent to us from Doris, isn't it?
I've skimmed over it before, but when I got ready to prepare for this meeting and put it on the PowerPoint, then I realized there's a lot of fluff. And so then the next paragraph, which is actually a sentence, the global leadership team intends to operate as a parallel, mutually supportive, specialized team with the GMT, and it needs to be updated to say GMT and GST. But that's maybe the most simple, understandable sentence we've got. We're going to cooperate. We're going to collaborate with the GMT and GST. The GLT provides for an enhanced focus on and support of leadership development, which is critical to the success of every LCI program and to the future vitality of the association as a whole.
That seems more like an introductory sentence.
I could see that being at the top rather than the bottom, but really the global leadership team provides for the GLT provides a focus and support of leadership development, which is critical to the success of Lions Clubs International and the future of our association. I think there's some extra words in there too.
But I think, again, if this is for the multi-district leadership team, the up to the comma is good. The GLT provides for enhanced focus on and support of leadership development, which is critical to the success of every club. I mean, isn't that, we're down at this level. We're supposed to be helping the grassroots. which is critical to the success of every club and to the future of that club, or you know.
Well, see, I would, since we're multiple district, I don't know what I wouldn't be the success of every district, comma, zone,
Okay.
comma, and
District.
club. So that,
Yeah.
because that's really where we're headed. We're preparing district leaders. We're going to prepare zone leaders. We're going to prepare club leaders. Oh,
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That way, when people read it, they go, "Oh, I'm here to help these. Our role is to help," and I'd have it at the top. Our role is to help. I mean, we're not directive. We're not the leaders. We're the supporters to help the current leaders and help them develop future leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And so, thank you very much, y'all's input is invaluable. And we'll move that sentence to the top. We're going to simplify some of the sentences in the middle. And then this is the key words that I think that we've identified. One is develop more qualified leaders from the club level up. And we've agreed on that since day one.
Yep.
Address local needs. We don't need to be training on things for the sake of training. We need to be training on those things that are important to our clubs, our zones, and our districts.
Mm-hmm.
They have to get used to asking us for that. Don't you think? I mean, I know as a district governor, wow, no one ever called and said, you know, I think that if we all had a little more training on whatever, public relations or something, knowing that above their club level is a whole bunch of folks that can help them. I don't know what everybody else feels, but I just feel like that relationship, again, addressing local needs, we need to hear from folks. We need to hear what their needs are.
It goes back to the 5 levels of leadership, and I know that I'm a Maxwell fanatic, but it's the 5 levels of leadership. We've got to build a relationship with clubs so they feel comfortable asking us to help them. And our zone chairs have got to begin immediately, and they can't wait till July. They got to start in May, introducing themselves, building some relations, and talking and saying, what do we need? Back in 2007, I believe, Ron Siebold and I held region meetings. And the first meeting, we had the program set. But as we finished that meeting, we said, we'd like to meet with this region again next quarter. What topic do you need us to discuss, or what would you like to discuss? And people began to feel comfortable. And those meetings just exploded. We started in Tuscumbia with 6 at that first meeting. And the last meeting we had in Tuscumbia had 42 people, the third time we had met. Because we were listening and we were asking, what do you want to talk about? And whatever they wanted to talk about, we come back and develop the tools and pull the information from Lions Clubs International and went back and talked about things that the clubs and the zone leaders were interested in talking about. And so I think that you're absolutely right, that if we'll listen and we ask the right questions, our zone chairs can begin to get those clubs together to talk about things they want to talk about. But no one goes to a zone meeting when there's a topic they're not interested in.
Right.
Yeah, I think
motivational development, identification, and effective recruiting of qualified leaders. And we've talked about that a little bit, but I guess the question is, how much should we be in the motivational business, and how much should the district governor team do the motivational, or is there a balance between us?
Should be a balance between us, shouldn't it?
Do we not identify tips and training for motivating? I mean, you know, motivational development is different than motivating, right? We're talking about providing training, whether it's through You know, the reading of professional reading, like the John Maxwell whole plethora of books, or conducting training, or how to motivate training. But I don't know that we're in the identification and recruiting of qualified leaders as a GLT, are we? I mean, it could happen.
I don't have a problem with us identifying potential leaders. I do have a problem with us recruiting them for a particular role, because I think that that's more of a district governor team, matching passion and purpose and positions. And I don't want to be the one that draws the organizational chart for the multiple district or the district.
Yeah, I think I would take that recruiting out of there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and we've already talked about being parallel with the other two. And let's keep these in mind as we move forward in our discussion this evening, that what our role is as a GLT. And I think it's important for every once in a while for us to just go back to the basics. Now, when we look at the leadership conference, this is going back to the policy manual there too. And the first thing it says is an annual membership multiple district leadership conference shall be held as early in the new year as practical. And we usually hold it the second weekend in August. I guess the question is that as early as it is practical for us to do that?
Are there governing, I don't have it in front of me, but I know for clubs are supposed to have their officers trained by 1 July.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is in the LCI policy manual, which you don't have handy. What is the guiding directive for a multiple district leadership conference? Do we have guidance that comes from LCI in their leadership development chapter?
We do not. This is strictly the history of it. We had a midwinter conference in January that rotated through the 5 districts, similar like to what we do with the 3 districts now, and that become a little spotty in January, and then the weather and the travel and everything become a problem, and so probably 2000, 2001, it wouldn't have been then. It would have been maybe 2010. No, I don't know, somewhere early 2000s. We went into, I could sit here and debate with myself on time. We moved that to fall leadership conference, and then we debated when to have it, and we moved it early enough to avoid football season. And then the one thing that we do have to avoid is that the first multiple district Council of Governors meeting must be held within 30 days of the close of the International Convention, which generally is somewhere around July 5th. And so we took and decided, and I say we, the powers that be at that time, decided to leave basically July for the Council of Governors meeting, and then the first part of August was as early as it could be. I don't have a problem with the first part of August, but we're 11, after we finish, we've got about 10 and a half months to go. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are.
If it's a leadership conference for the coming year, I think earlier. I mean, just like club officers, I think they should be trained prior to July 1.
Okay.
I mean,
well, that's kind of required to have them trained. That's well, not that we're really mandated, but
they're not doing it. But I mean, like leadership conference, could it not be in May or June?
Well,
when people.
You've got your multiple district convention too, which is late April, 1st of May.
May, yeah. And
then I think that they also moved it to August to avoid just fatigue, because by the time you do district conventions in February and March, A couple months later, you do a state convention in May, and then a couple months later, you do a leadership conference, and then you got the holidays, and you're back into the convention conference cycle again. But
well, I guess the real thing is, you know, club officers should be trained before 1 July. I think in our district, we've kind of broken that code the past maybe 4 or 5 years. We take care of it in May or June on a Saturday. But maybe understanding what the purpose of the multi-district leadership conference. I know, the ones I've attended, it's less about, well, actually, they has talked about your role as president, your role as secretary treasurer. What should we be having a leadership conference about? What do we feel like the training opportunities that are best held at a leadership conference as opposed to the required ones of club officer, done at the district level?
And that's the next sentence in our description there.
Oh.
Yeah, the conference is to be used primarily as a training endeavor for all incoming district committees, multiple district committee members, and club officers, and other such uses as may be necessary. Now, the one thing that I don't think we've been doing is the district and the multiple district committee members have not been,
Right.
that training's been lacking. Club officers, although we train on a district level for, I guess, what I'm gonna call hard skills, how to hold a meeting, how to report service, and things of that nature. When you talk about club officer training in July, it may be just introducing them to the new president's programs, any new programs that have come out from Lions Clubs International and things of that nature. But then we've got a lot of people who come for the social aspect who may not be a club officer at all. They may be a past district governor. They just like coming. And so we've got to also use that time to somehow engage them and add some value to their lives as well. What do you think?
I think it's important about the district committees. I think, from working with the long range planning, we now have some committees that are getting together and doing what we're doing, reviewing their duties, reviewing, coming up with their action plan. I think to give them an opportunity to come together for a leadership conference, like it says here, incoming district committees, multiple district committee members. I think there might be something besides just having club officers that would benefit everybody, whether that's some kind of leadership development or motivation or some kind of interactive, seminar. I would say if we're going to take something off, would be the club officers. I think that really is something that as a GLT at a district, you got to figure out how you're going to do that at the district level. I think there's other things we can do at the multi-district, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, Claudia, I agree with you there. The only thing that and it's applicable to all Lions, if we go to an international convention, as we did a few years ago, and they added diabetes, I think it's important that we come back and share that as soon as possible. Or if they add pediatric cancer, that we come back and we share that as soon as possible with Lions and begin to get them to think about things. Or the entrance fee waiver, when it was kicked off, if we had had a leadership conference last year, it should have been something there. So at least an hour of what I would call Lions International updates or initiatives.
I'm talking about we shouldn't have seminars on how to be a club president, how to be a secretary, how to be a treasurer. I think absolutely the changes at the changes from international, how to get more members, seminars on membership and on service. But I think just the nuts and bolts, I think we had incorporated that in multi-district leadership. We had little seminars, how to be a club president, how to be a treasurer. I think that's what I'm saying. If we're looking at how to make it more robust and we need to take something off the plate, that club officer, to me, I was talking about the nuts and bolts of how to be a club officer, not other information they would need.
I agree. And when you talk about the district and the multiple district committees, and I'm not trying to put something extra on the long range planning committee, but I don't know but what we don't schedule a time for the long range planning committee and the district governor or the council of governors to meet with each committee and talk them through their job description like we are here. And then the governors sort of empower them that says, Alabama high school leadership or high school band, we're going to go sentence by sentence on your job description. We're going to align it with what we've been doing. And this is what we expect from you this year. And sort of give them some expectations. But I also think that the long range planning committee may be the one that has to lead that discussion, because I'm not sure that our district governors at this point in time are going to be that aggressive with the discussion. Does that make sense?
Well, what about the council chair?
What about what?
Would the council chair not be the person that would be responsible for the multiple district committees? I mean, the multiple district chair, and then the committees, the districts that's under it, look like that would be something that the council chair could do with the multiple district chairs, and then have the chairs, after going through training with them, to meet with their district committees, their district chairs rather. Because some of the multiple district chairs are probably not familiar with what they actually have agreed to do, so they can't really actually tell their district chairs, because they don't really know what they're supposed to do either.
I agree, and I think that your multiple district chairs have got to begin to be more proactive in getting things done and organizing if we're going to move in a positive direction.
Right.
Let's think about this, because we're going to get to talking about how to put the program together. It says the MD GLT, which is me, the MD Leadership Conference Committee, and the Council of Governors shall be responsible for the conference agenda and arrangements. And always in the past, I've been told the GLT and GMT put the program together, and the conference committee is sort of like the host committee. And I'm not sure we've ever ran it past the Council of Governors. It's just happened. And that's my fault as much as anybody for not listening. But I would like to see this expanded so that all four of us, along with the Leadership Conference Committee and the Council of Governors, have some input on putting that conference together, because the four of you know what's needed in your district. And if there's two of you that have a similar need, then it needs to be addressed during this leadership conference. What are y'all's thoughts?
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And so we know that this coming year, our Council of Governors is probably not in a position to help us put together a program. And I've always got this philosophy: it's easier to edit something that someone has given you a rough draft than it is for a committee to create. I'm not, it's, everybody likes to punch holes in someone else's work. So let's put out the rough draft and let everybody else punch holes in it. We're not going to take any ownership of it. We're just going to say, here's an idea, or here's a plan, and what do you think? But I think it'll be up to the four of us to start the discussion for August program. What do y'all think?
I think so.
Well, we've had, I mean, we have frameworks from the previous leadership conferences, so we're not starting with a blank piece of paper. I think it's a good idea. I think we probably, I don't know who's the MD Leadership Conference Committee, but I think August we might still have to do it virtual.
Bub is the chairman, Bub Gibbons.
Okay.
And so I don't know. And so then that gets us to the other thing: is the following multiple district awards may be presented at that conference. as determined by the Council of Governors. That's the Tom Jones Lion of the Year, the Beto Outstanding Club Award, the Chandler Awards, and currently we've got 2 Aubrey D. Green Awards that will need to be presented because we will not have had a in-person convention. And if in August we get to have a in person, what do y'all think about having an awards banquet afterwards on that Saturday night and just focus on celebrating everyone's successes and pass out all these awards that we've not been able to pass out? I can tell you that we've got an Ambassador of Goodwill, which is the highest award ever awarded to any lion. We've got one of those that most likely will be approved to be awarded in the state. We've got several presidential medals. We've got several leadership medals that typically would give out at the state convention that won't be presented. And then last year, presenting them virtually, I'd like to at least go back and recognize them and let them stand up, and I'll have everyone applaud for them, because there's just something about receiving that recognition in front of your peers that I think is valuable.
Right. Yeah.
I think that that several of our awards merit formal presentation at a banquet, not just stop by the conference at lunchtime. So yes, if we go in person, then I would say that folks should plan, we should coordinate that banquet aspect of it.
Okay.
If we're still virtual, especially the highest awards, I just say we wait one more year. I mean, they can't just be, they shouldn't just be handed out lightly, informally. A few people go see these people at where they work. I think we hold off if we can't do it at a banquet setting.
I agree. Even if we have to plan a January or February 2022 awards banquet somewhere centrally located, it would be more meaningful, I think, than than giving them virtually. We did it. I just wasn't really a fan of it. But this is what the policy manual says about the leadership conference. And so here's a few questions that I have as we move forward. And we know where and when. It's the second week in August, and it's going to be in Montgomery, most likely at Faulkner University, where we held it before. Programs and topics for all the district committees and multiple district committee members. And Claudia, as the chairman of the Long Range Planning Committee, would you mind to begin to think about how that we can communicate the long range plan to these district committee members? And do we do it by committee? Do we do it by groups of committees? Or how that we accomplish that on that day in August?
Are you wanting to provide the participants there with an overview of all the committees? Hey, these are what they do for you. Or are we looking at the committees getting together? I mean, is this okay, does everybody know what the Information Technology Committee does? Well, here they are, because some people don't know all the committees. I don't.
I don't know that it would be benefit. I'm thinking aloud. There's benefit to sharing what these committees are supposed to do with the entire group, but
right.
At the same time, if these committees don't know that they're doing it and they're not doing it, it's almost like selling the masses on something that is not existing. So I think we almost have to start with the committees themselves and get them to deliver a quality product, so then we can go back to the masses and say, this is what your Internet Technology Committee has done in the past 12 years. This is 12 months. This is their plan of action. And if you need some assistance with technology, these are the people that you see. But if we give that sales pitch now, I'm afraid that they're going to see 4 people that just don't know what the heck they're doing.
Well, for the benefit of Judy and Linda, because I don't think they're not on the long range planning committee. But when we met, and Jerome is on that committee, of course, the GLT, we have plans and have identified training programs, dates. But the rest of our committees, and you both know, I know Judy and Linda, that we've had committees that never meet. They have these vague, just like we just went through, they have these vague, congratulations, you're on the, public relations committee, and that's about all it says. But we do have, they've kind of been tasked, and I hate to use that because that tasking sounds, so disciplined, but they've been asked and encouraged and given templates that will identify, so that they can identify what they should be doing as a committee and when they should be doing it. I've already gotten input, and the timeline for that is the 28th of February. So by the time we have this leadership conference, we'll at least have 5 or 6 of our multiple district committees that have some meat on the bones. There's something there that they know they have to come together and do. And of course, as Jerome said, we now have to then let the leadership, the district governors, vice district governors, and the council chair know what, now you have something you can expect. You have some expectations. And of course, now they can take that and edit it and decide if they want to change the guidance. But I already have one from the LCIF. The public relations group is, I think, meeting. The technology I haven't heard from. GMT I've heard from. Haven't heard from. Oh, GST I've heard from. So they're starting to do what we've been doing for a couple months. That's what I'm saying. So I'm going to feel better, Jerome, in August that whatever the vision here is for topics, we will have multiple district committees and the members of it that at least know what they need to do.
And if that's, yes, ma'am, and if that's the case, we may just assign a certain amount of time. Usually we split these things up in like 50-minute segments, but if there's a couple of committees that don't need 50 minutes, maybe if you're interested in public relations, in this room, the Public Relations Committee is going to talk with you about their mission and what they hope to accomplish this year. Might be a way to approach it as well. But it's almost time to begin to think about what those topics look like. And we've already talked about club officers and such, and other such uses as may be necessary. And that's been sort of tweaked to be Lions Club initiatives, new Lions Club initiatives, which is fine. That could probably be covered in an hour topic. And then general topics of Lions not holding a multiple district or club office. And I think that, Claudia, you mentioned some things about recruiting members, maybe even something on how to start a new club, or how that we started the one in Madison without putting any boots on the ground, and maybe something on specialty clubs, but something of a general interest as well. And service.
I think service, so absolutely service, and also fundraising, and that's just folks all being able to share what they do and don't do. I mean, I think we always kind of have to have those for folks that feel like they need to hear something new or see what are other people doing, what's something my club could try. I think those are always topics of value, whether someone holds an office or not.
Oh, I agree.
What about some virtual service projects that clubs can do that are not meeting?
And hopefully by August they'll be meeting. I hope that they are. But at the same time, while we're doing technology type stuff, we could also talk about holding board meetings via Zoom, holding club meetings via Zoom, and moving into a virtual society. And I think if by August we can probably get Liz Husky to come from Lions Clubs International down here and share some topics about My Lion, and by then the Connect will be working, which is a way for clubs to meet using the Lions platform rather than a Zoom platform that they're developing. should be able to be able to talk about the Learn Center and the value of taking online courses and building your resume and some things like that. So
Leos, there's a great interest in bringing folks together to hear about Leos, and maybe we even have some Leos come and have maybe some topics for them. They can sit in on any of these. It's probably.
I like those ideas. I'm glad I'm recording it because then I can go back and listen and jot down ideas.
But you know what we're not good at, and what I thought about, when you have to do that crosstalk between committees that don't even know what they're supposed to be doing, like public relations. And there's no reason why we can't invite the media to our leadership conference, to have someone be the spokesperson and talk about who the Lions are, and something then that, when they put it on the newscast, it can be then transmitted. And we're not, those are opportunities for us to share the good news of what we do and how we serve our communities.
Right.
Cross-functional committees are so very important to our vitality. I agree with you. And we as the GLT, I've almost been empowered to take the lead in developing some of that cross-functional discussion. And we've just got to do a better job of doing that and having some meetings with, well, let's take the leadership conference. At some point in time, the four of us inviting the chairman of the Public Relations Committee and the IT committee and the leadership committee to a conference and says, okay, how are we going to publish this? How are we going to promote this internally and externally? What outcome are we looking for? How many folks, Lions, do we want to attend? And how much media coverage are we hoping to get? And to be quite honest, wouldn't it be nice if everyone who attended walked away with a press release that they could turn into the local paper that said, Claudia Wigglesworth attended the Alabama Lions Leadership Conference and was a presenter on the topic of XYZ and shared the message of Lions with 150 Lions across the state of Alabama, and let you carry that to the paper. It might be 2 column inches, but it's 2 column inches we don't have otherwise.
Plus, those things then would be posted on our multi-district website. See, that's all the follow through and closing the loop and that type of thing. In talking with the Public Relations Committee, is just the 3 district governors. And that's the type, they are going to add in their action plan, having at the beginning of the year some other public service announcements, like a standard one if you're doing a food drive, a standard one, a couple standard ones if you're doing an Earth Day thing. Lions Club International has that. They can be modified, and again, it's how well are we using our website for resources, like you say, Jerome, the public service if somebody particular made a presentation or attended a convention.
Well,
we're going to get there. We're going to get there. It's just we're still in the crawl. Maybe we're not even in the born yet, but we're getting there.
No, I'm encouraged by what this committee is doing, and I'm honored to be able to chair this committee. And not to brag, but just to inform, when my club did the project with Sleeping Heavenly Peace, and we raised the money and built 70 bed kits for children who were sleeping on the floor in our county, out of 8 weeks leading up to the build event, we were in the local newspaper 7 of those. We was on the front page 3 of those weeks. And it all goes back to doing a press release and getting it out there and giving them enough information that it's easy for someone to publish it. If a reporter doesn't have to redo very much of the article, and you got folks quoted and you've got all the information they need, they'll run it. It's when we don't give them, when we don't spoon feed them, that there's a problem. And so we also need to begin to think about presenters. And in each district, there's some people that are outstanding presenters, and there's some people who are just dreadful. And if we're going to take and put together a good product, I think it's going to be up to the four of us to find those outstanding presenters and give them a platform. And also this past year, we gave all of the district governor team a platform, because if they're going to lead, they need to be out front. In my opinion, they need to be out front, they need to be seen, and we need to be giving them experience in communicating effectively with the lions of the state. What are y'all's thoughts?
My thoughts exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so let's begin to look about some presenters, and then time slots. And we've run anywhere from 6 webinars at the same time for 50 minutes at a time, and we've ran 2 and 3 and 4, and we've had a motivational speaker at lunch. We've had a presentation at lunch. What are y'all's thoughts on what is effective? Because really, we'll run about 100 to maybe 120 tops at the leadership conference, and some of them are hall hounds. They're never going into a presentation. They're going to hang in the hall and visit, and so really the hall becomes almost a presentation to itself. How many seminars should we run simultaneously?
Isn't that dependent on the facility that we have
Most
to
time
some
we're
degree?
Yeah, at some degree. Most time we're going to a junior college that has a classrooms of about 30, and we could have access to 4, 5, 6 of those.
Mhm.
Then that sounds like maybe 4 at a time, huh? If you say number of simultaneously, maybe 4.
I think 4 is good. If you get
Yeah.
4 classrooms,
Yeah.
if you got 100, that's 25 each. If everybody goes to a class, really it's probably going to be about 20 each, and about 20 roaming the halls and visiting and eating donuts.
Yeah, I don't think more than 4.
Okay. So
Probably no more than 50 minutes. You said 50 minutes. Yeah.
I think 50 minutes is good. We can start with a welcome and an overview of the program for about 20 minutes, have 10 minutes to change to the first class. If we started, we're having it in Montgomery. How far from Daleville to Montgomery? 3 or 4 hours?
No, it'll take just a 2. I think
2.
it's 96 miles. Maybe it's 76 miles. 2. I always plan on 2.
And then if you come from Mobile, it's about 3-hour drive, isn't it? 160 miles.
I think, and then Gulf Shores would be a little further, wouldn't it? Does it come up?
Maybe a little longer, because you'll hit the interstate there about exit 50, no, about exit 35. It takes an hour from Gulf Shores to the interstate, and then you got 130 miles, maybe 3 hours and 15 minutes. So that's the next question. What time do we want to start? If we start at 9, from Center, Bridgeport, down through Birmingham, you're probably looking at 3.5 hours. If we started at 9, we could have the first, we could have classes at 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, and have a late lunch, or we could have 9:30, 10:30, break at 11:30 for lunch, and then come back together about 12:15 and have a 12:15 class, a 1:15 class, a 2:15 class, at 3:15 come back for any awards or things of that nature, and adjourn by about 3 and get everyone home. But what do
I
y'all
thought we were going to have a banquet. I thought you were going to kind of plan for a banquet.
Well, we are, but I'm just thinking if we have to go virtual also,
Oh, if you have to go virtual.
if maybe 4 or 5 classes, well, about 4 classes and about 4 classrooms. So we got about 16 different classes that we can come up with.
But do we also not want to plan on a couple overview classes that pertain to everybody? Things that maybe don't need to be at the small group level, like maybe some updates from LCI president's message. Maybe we need the first hour at least for some big overview, team building. We're all happy to be here. And then break out.
I like that idea. Yes, ma'am. We could. That's a very good thought. And so if we start at 9, we could spend the first hour with sort of an LCI update, new initiatives, welcome, an overview of the program. Have a class at 10 and 11, break for lunch. Have a class at 1 and 2, and be through by 3. If we have an evening banquet, start at about 5 so that we can still get out of there by 7, and anyone wants to go drive home can be home by 10 that evening. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds like a good
And
plan. How much of anything has Vice District Governor Bub started? I mean, I'm not part of that committee. I haven't heard any updates. Are they already formulating plans, or
at this point in time, all I know is that they were going to reach out to a hotel and get a block of rooms, and they were reaching out to the university, but I've not heard an update since then. And see, I know that the Council of Governors meets just once quarterly, but at some point in time, I think that we're going to almost have to have some monthly calls and cross-functional calls. But here I am again running when everybody else is crawling. Forgive me. And then we got to talk about promotion of the program and registration, when it begins, who's going to be in charge of it, what the cost of the program is, and things of that nature. Those questions really are the host committee's questions more than ours, but since we were talking about everything else, I stuck that in there because I think that part of our function is going to be to promote it within our district, to work with the public relations and everything, because if we don't promote it, it's not going to get promoted.
You said registration. Now, will there be the usual coffee and pastry or stuff like that when people arrive?
Yes, ma'am. Generally, there is.
Okay, then would 11 o'clock not be a little bit early? I mean, since they've already had snacks and stuff, that makes for a long afternoon.
It does.
If you break for lunch about from 11 to 12, it makes for a long afternoon.
If we go with Claudia's setup, we can start at 9, have the first class at 10, another class at 11, which will get out about 11:50,
12,
and
okay.
then have lunch at 12, and have a class at 1 and 2, at 3 o'clock break until a 5 o'clock banquet.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
and there's funding for this, right? There, I mean, not only in the budget for the multi-district, but in there the grants from LCI for leadership conference, or am I
don't think that there's a grant for a leadership conference, but generally speaking, we have been charging about $25 to cover the cost of the facility, lunch, and coffee and snacks and things like that. And if we do a banquet, I would say it'd probably be a separate ticket, which will probably be a $20 or $25 a seat ticket for a banquet for those that want to stay for the banquet.
Yep.
Any other considerations for the leadership conference that we haven't talked about? Let's all begin to brainstorm on what those topics look like and the presenters for some of those topics. And I'll begin on my side to put together a rough idea of what a schedule might look like so that y'all can poke holes in it. Does that sound fair?
Now on the multiple district committee chairs and then the district committees, do we have anyone in the multiple district that would be able to, I guess, chair some of those or be a presenter for some of the committees that actually know what to do, what the committees are supposed to do, and maybe share some things that's been done in the past through those committees so they can kind of see what's expected.
Claudia has had more contact with those committee chairs than I have, or the 5 or 6 that we've started focusing on. Claudia, do you think that the chairman of those committees will be in a position to host a session?
Well, some of them that come to mind, obviously, if we're going to have a session on membership, should turn to the multi-district GMT with the 3 district reps. Now, whether they themselves give the training or whether they know people in their districts or the
Right.
clubs that have done an outstanding job, I mean, that would be up to them to decide, to figure that out. Standing up a new club, if that's what they felt the training was. I think in that regard, the GMT could be responsible for that session. Same with the GST. Just no, the members don't themselves have to be the presenter, but they need to make sure they can find people within the multi-district that would be excellent at making a presentation about service. I don't know, Linda, is that kind of what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the district committees, member, let's see. You're talking about, I guess, technology committee, the
to make a presentation. First of all, the district committee is usually just the one person that's on the multiple district committee, right? I mean, I know in our district, we don't have a group that does information technology. It's the person that's named to be on the multi-district committee that's the go-to person, whether they've been that or not.
Right. Yeah.
I guess I'm speaking of the chairperson for the multiple district committee. And of course, I know the district committee is only, it's only one person unless that person select other members to work with them to do something. Say if it was technology committee, then that technology committee person for the district would be responsible for whatever has to do with technology.
Yeah, whether that's Facebook, it would either be the Facebook page or the district website. That's kind of right now, I think, the scope of what in our district, what the technology person does. But I guess I'm not understanding. Are you saying for them to be a presenter, the committees some of them should be one of the presentations?
Yes, if we're gonna do something on the multiple district committees, is what I'm saying. Who would be the person that will present something? So I guess all of them wouldn't actually need to be, I guess, explained. Like some of them would. Elections committee, say the election committee chair. A lot of districts have problems with knowing if the if the district governor can handle the election or who can handle it. And so, things like that. I mean, it helps. I know it, of course, they can read it, but a lot of times people don't have time to read it. They don't want to read. But if they can be taught that or told, then, they'll remember it rather than they're going to pick up the paper to read it.
Again, we have opportunities, I think, in our newsletter, maybe to showcase some of the committees. You're right, like Credentials Committee or the Constitution and Bylaws Committee or the Pins and Banner Committee. The Pins and Banners is exciting. There might be people that would love to be on that. I think we could, over the course of, and do we do a newsletter once a month? We don't, do we? It's every other month.
I think it's every other month electronically.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't recall. I know as a district governor, boy, you're trying to crank out a page long thing, but we really never highlighted our multiple district committees. And I think again, some of them are pretty straightforward. I don't think anybody has to tell the credentials committee, you know, because there's just time of year where they have to do what's required
Right.
procedurally. But to showcase the GST, I mean, I had the club that I'm a guiding line for. The membership person is so frustrated. They're a new club. We've had the pandemic. You know, guiding line, Claudia, how do I increase membership? I gave her a few tips, but then I had our district GMT give her a call. So, I mean, knowing that you can call, you're right. I guess it's educating. You're talking about maybe just showcasing what these committees do. I think we have some methods to do that.
Right.
I'm
And
excited
see,
about the
NAMI would be
products.
one. The
Yeah,
NAMI committee, the
mhm.
NAMI champion, and that would be one that a lot of them may not know what all it would entail or what to do, to where they will step up to be the champion, the NAMI champion, or the chair for that. I mean, just something to help to make it easier for the district governor team to fill their cabinet slots.
Yeah, I've thought, you know, I've thought that I don't know how your district's Facebook is, but ours, we have quite a lot of people following it. And in some of them, the district governors could say, hey, here's some positions, maybe you might want to consider them. I don't think we've ever kind of done a help wanted, you know, help wanted. Okay, so you get somebody, the district governor may not feel that's the right person. There's ways to, I mean, but at least you could get it out there and someone says, wow, I think I could do that. I mean,
well, it would be good to have a selection that you can kind of eliminate, you know, to make it.
I think that we've come up with a lot of great ideas, and tonight just about the leadership conference. And to be quite honest, we're starting earlier than usual. I know that this is almost 1st of February, but there's a lot of times that this discussion is taking place in May for our conference that's going to be in August. And so if we can get some things nailed down and people prepared, then we can start promoting this way early, and I think that have better attendance. Let's talk for just a second about the Vice District Governor Master Training Schedule that has been sent out. Is there any additions, suggestions, adjustments that you want to make? I think our next webinar is actually the Long Range Planning Committee, Claudia, and I forget what date that we selected, or if you were still looking for a date. And then the final discussion is, how do we engage newly elected second vice district governors so they know that, you know, you're elected and this is the path that we'd like to walk along with you and help you to become better equipped to serve when you're the DGE. So the master schedule, everybody happy with that, or we need to still do some tweaking?
if I click it open, it doesn't shut me out of, I was going to look back.
No, it shouldn't.
But now you don't see me. Do you see me?
Yes, we see you.
Or you're not seeing my screen?
No.
I don't see anybody because I've got full screen, so I can talk through this PowerPoint.
Yeah, I tried to print out, and it's so wide, that Excel spreadsheet.
Is that the Global Action Team District Check Sheet Vice District Governor Training for 2021, Jerome?
Yes, ma'am. That's the one for this year, and then I have taken and put it on an Excel spreadsheet that actually goes 3 years, so that it covers and in 34A it would cover Michelle, it would cover Mike, and it would cover whoever we elect next weekend, which is probably Catherine.
Okay. Okay, I see that one too.
So it starts, the one I'm looking at that was attached to you attach the agenda in this way back when we were going to meet in December. That's what I'm looking at.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And so that's this April is the beginning, right? April.
Yes, ma'am. I
Looks
figured
like-
that that would be the first month after all of our second vice district governors would be elected.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Mhm.
The thing is that, of course, we'll know how good it is as we go through it and as the training's done and feedback's received, and this document can be then tweaked if necessary in the out years, in the out months.
hmm
Mhm.
If everybody is happy with the concept, we will, as Claudia said, we'll adjust on the fly.
Mhm.
I'm not opposed to adjusting. I'm just proud that we collectively have put something down on paper that at least gives us a roadmap to go. And you know, if we hit a speed bump or have to detour, then we will. But it's better to at least have a roadmap because we've
Right.
operated for 100 years in Alabama without a roadmap.
Yeah.
And I'll go back to the roadmap and we'll look at the webinars and begin to put presenters together for the next year. Judy and Claudia, do y'all know who that you will be electing as your second vice district governor at your district conventions in March?
Mhm. Mary Roberts from Grove Hill.
Military did a lot of training and helped with the leadership conference last year.
Yes. Mhm.
And I don't know why, but mentally, I just have her pictured as a little petite young lady.
She is. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you ever get these mental pictures and you're not sure if they're right or not?
That is her. Yeah.
Well, that is great. And how about B? Do we know who the second vice district governor is going to be?
I have not heard anything yet. I mean, they just have put in the second vice for this year.
Well, I can
Uh,
tell you whether Catherine and Mary both will be very engaged. It'll be an easy job to get them on board with us, I believe. Don't you agree, Linda?
Yes.
And so whoever B is, we'll get them on board and move forward. I don't think that that's going to be a major problem for us moving forward. And so for now, we've got a general consensus that we're going to take our master training schedule and we're going to run with it until we need to adjust it, and we can adjust it every month if we need to.
Sounds good.
Training.
How are we coming with our leadership development schedule that we had? Because I see we have January, but I don't know whether we've done it. Well, you may have done goal setting with the second vice district governors and the new club development. All that's going okay.
The goal
With,
setting was on the Learn Center, I believe. And
okay.
I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but I believe it was. And then in January, all of your vice district governors were invited to participate with our Global Action Team, a constitutional area program where we focused on the North American Membership Initiative process, which also
Mhm.
focused a little bit on the new clubs, new members, new service, and leadership support. And so that
Mhm.
was sort of our generic January. What we
Okay.
did on the constitutional area level is available, and I can send the recordings if anyone did not participate, where that they can catch up on all of those in January.
Mhm. Okay.
Training needs analysis, and then design the training course, and then deliver the training and evaluate the training, and go back to analyzing the needs again for zone chairs. And I realized that I've put more in here this evening than I should have. So let's just quickly talk about this, and we'll dig a little deeper next time we get together. But let's think about zone chairs. Really, what do they need to focus on? And one thing early on, I think that was talked about is that we need to get them to learn to build relationships and learn to clearly communicate with the clubs. Other things that y'all think of off the top of your head?
I believe the zone chair needs to be able to view each club as unique, and especially by using the club health assessment report, so that they might identify things that the current club president just isn't out there in front of them, or they're not really aware of the status of their club. So I think that that document is something that the zone chair should be comfortable with and understand how to use.
Very good.
Mhm.
I think that what is it? Unity through diversity. And so that's a great point. And sometimes it takes an outside eyes to look, and then it takes a special person to be able to bring those topics up with a club president or club board of directors and say, you know, y'all been losing 3 to 5 members for the last 5 years, and you're down to 15 members. If we don't do something in 3 years, you're not going to have any members at all. How can I help you? And so that goes back to that communication.
The
Right.
one I like is when you look and you say, wow, I appreciate that you've been the club president for 8 years. Because that's a column there that says club president rotation, and some are 6 years and some are 5 years. And of course, taken by itself, that could be considered bad. But when you see red along the line with the 5 or 6 or 8 years, I mean, that's a hard conversation to have with the club.
And see, my club voted to go to 2-year terms for president because it was seemed as if just as soon as you knew what you were doing and had everything organized, it was time for you to leave. And we've found that we have a little bit more stability and a little bit more prep time for the first vice district governor if it's 2-year terms.
Yeah, I think Charlie's an advocate for that, but it's
Yeah.
not something we could mandate. But again, a discussion and a conversation zone chairs could have with clubs, for continuity, or I think that's good. After the first year, you know what you could have, should have done, and then you get another year to do it, get it done.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, the 2 year, because I know with me, by the time I got the club to actually doing things, my term, well, I had to shorten my term because of going into district governor, so I had to step down, and then the next person that was supposed to be the president declined from being it because they thought they had to do what I did. So somebody else had to just jump in.
Well, the
So I
Montgomery
like.
Club swaps every 6 months because they have so many members. In order for them to have an opportunity, every 6 months they select a new president.
Oh.
Wow.
Are there any places around the globe where their district governors serve for 2 years?
No, ma'am.
No?
No, all of those are 1-year terms. Now there's some that repeat themselves, but not consistently.
Consecutively. Yeah.
Oh, well, now we got a
Like
few
that.
we got a few in US that will do back to back because they just haven't identified anyone to step up. But
Wow.
theoretically, district governors should change every year because that's what the Constitution and bylaws say. But then, we elect international board members for 2-year terms, and which is great because then you have 1 year of being on a committee and then possibly chairing that committee the next year, either a committee or a vice, either chair or a vice chair that second year. And so we need to begin to think about what to do with zones. And then we need to begin to think about the hard skills and the soft skills that we need to share with club officers, and begin to take and drill down just a little bit further from where we are with our vice district governors till we get a good training calendar for zones and clubs and what to be trained who's going to train and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
What questions do y'all have? We've covered a lot tonight.
This, I mean, you know, we really need to focus on communicating. I think, I mean, like the zone chairs, the sometimes I get the feeling they think their job is just to go in and sit down and eat with a club, and I'm not sure they're all talking with the officers and, you know, checking the membership and officers and how they're developing. I think they just go in, sit down, observe, eat, get up and leave, and they're not communicating.
I'd agree
And
with you.
communication somewhere is, we gotta communicate all this stuff.
In Moulton, Alabama, I would just like for one of them to come and eat with us. I don't think that, I
Well,
don't think we've seen a zone chairman in a decade.
Mm.
But
And
I
that
never
was-
saw a zone chair until I became a zone chair. They never
well,
came.
and that's a common thing. And I mean, I hate to say it, but when I was when I was district governor, I kept thinking, what is the purpose of the zone chair? They don't do anything. Don't matter how much you talk to them, you call them, you ask them to go visit, and then it's like they don't. So they're not that, you know, and they are supposed to be the liaison. So somewhere we need to really focus and communicate with zone chairs that what their position is and how important it is.
Do you guys do training annually for your zone chairs?
We did, yes.
Mhm.
If you can get, you know, a good majority there.
We had 8 out of 9.
Yeah.
8 out of
We-
9.
we
The
had
virtual
good,
is almost making it easier for people to, you know,
It
they go,
is.
wait, do I really want to drive 2 hours for a 3-hour, 4-hour trip? I mean, 8 out of 9. I think the 9th one just forgot about it. But I think, Jerome, earlier this evening when you talked about, you know, had we as GLTs done any follow-up with our zones, what are the training needs? I think I'm going to get with District Governor Pete and within this month of February, have a meeting, because if we're all going to start talking about training at a leadership conference here in August, I think I want to talk with zone chairs, either get their feedback that night or ask them to, you know, come back in a couple weeks and provide the feedback, because the zone chairs don't know what they don't know. And if they have been out and visited clubs, they might have some feedback. They might have feedback for their own positions, like, I feel kind of clueless as a zone chair. I mean, I just think it's a critical leadership level for us to be able to identify that. I think on your previous slide it had training needs or analysis of training needs.
Mhm.
Yeah, the training needs analysis, you know, it's nothing real formal. I think it's just a Zoom meeting and to hear what they say. I mean, I feel like I know what one topic will always be, that's membership. I mean,
Let me ask a question of Judy and Claudia, and that is in 34A, Mike McElhaney has been holding a monthly build success meeting with the zone chairs. And as I took and shared with Linda earlier, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. Would the two of you like an invitation to the next one just to observe what he does and how he interacts with the zone chairs, and see if that's something that may be beneficial in B and C?
okay, what is his role?
He's the
Macro.
second
Okay.
vice district governor.
Yeah.
And
And
Tim asked him to monitor the activity of the zone chairs before Tim resigned as the district governor. And so
okay.
Mike has continued to do that with a monthly call with region and zone chairs.
I would like to be added on that, see what
Yep.
he's doing there.
I would too.
I'll get you an invitation to the go-to meeting and send to you. I believe that it is the second Monday night of each month. If I'm not mistaken, that's going to be February the 8th. And he also starts about 8 o'clock in the evening and runs usually about an hour.
Oh, good. Okay.
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 And so, Linda, help me to remember to get everyone invited. I think that, like I said, don't be expecting a whole lot, but it's better to have some communication than no communication.
Right. Yes.
And then y'all can tweak it in B and C and perfect it and invite us to your meeting so we can see how it's supposed to be done.
That's great.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, I'm going to thank you for your time and your energy and all that you put into us being a better association. I'll save this recording and I'll go ahead and send it out to everyone, including Council Chair Bubba, so that he'll know what we've talked about. Do you think we should also share it with our district governors and our district governor team?
I think so. Because we are their multi-district committee. And see if that starts to be a trend. And as committees meet, they keep their district governors updated. I think that'd be beneficial.
I can do that, and I'll send out the link after I get it all uploaded and ready to go. Okay.
Sounds great.
If there's any
Okay.
questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll get back on our regular schedule here toward the end of February, and we'll begin to put some feet under the leadership conference schedule, and we'll begin to talk about clubs and zones as we dig a little deeper. Thank you very much for your time this evening. We'll talk with everyone
Okay.
soon. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Jerome. Bye-bye.